Hello everyone and welcome back to APN Gaming. My name is Jared aka Cornfed Kraken 93 and we are here today with a video to talk about the pre-release to WWE 2K22. So we know the game is coming. Here are my thoughts as to what we can expect out of the game, some of my opinions. There's a lot of different people talking about a lot of different things out there that they either like, hate, or they're not sure of. So I kind of want to just have a discussion as to what I think we can expect from the game, some of my opinions out of what we're seeing on the game, and then I want to do an in-depth review after the game is released and I've had a few hours into the game just to see what we're working with, and then go from there and kind of see how that matches up to what I'm talking about in this video today. You're going to hear a heater running in the background. Unfortunately, it's cold in my office space. I have not used this space for almost a year now. The heating isn't quite up to par right now, so we're working on that, and this is going to be our ongoing office space. As you can see, our WWE stuff up here in the background. This is kind of my working studio for music, games, otherwise. That's airsoft gun up in the... sometimes my finger... I don't know which way the angle is going to be, but got airsoft guns up here in the background. I like to do some of that too. So, yeah. So we're going to jump into this video and talk about the pre-release of WWE 2K22 and what I'm kind of expecting and what my opinion is on this footage and stuff that I have seen so far. So, I guess to start off this discussion, I should let you guys know kind of what I'm hearing out in the world, what I'm seeing for videos. If you guys are really stoked about this game, you're seeing this stuff too. Last night, the date currently is March 6th, so we're very close to release. I'm going to be uploading this the night of March 6th, so it should be up on the 7th, just before the game releases. But I was seeing a lot of footage being leaked last night from a lot of different entrances, so I've seen all of that stuff. So I'm kind of thinking on where to go from there. So when it comes to other videos, I've seen Brandon Does Everything, I believe BDE, the Vibe Crew, they're all talking about this game. They all seem to have positive thoughts about this game. I watched Denkops, even though he's not within the 2K community anymore as far as the WWE games go. I like to hear his opinion on it because he had very strong feelings about WWE 2K20, as did most of us. So, kind of want to talk about what I'm seeing out there. Currently, we've seen a lot of the ringside reports. Even though I've been watching and consuming all of this content just because I'm so excited for the game. And it's great to be excited for the game again. To have a game coming that I'm excited for when it comes to WWE and the 2K stuff. I'm really looking forward to more of that. So I've been digesting all of this content that's been coming out. The ringside reports, while they look good, I feel like they're kind of missing some of what I need to see. And the up, down, down stuff now has come out within the last couple of days, giving us a little bit more as, you know, full matches, gameplay, entrances. We hadn't seen a lot in the way of entrances, and I don't think it's 2K trying to pull the wool over our eyes because there's something wrong with the game. I think it's just everybody had such a poor opinion of WWE 2K20. I think that they're trying to hold all of this in as much as they can so everybody is so happy with what they get. I don't know if that makes sense. That's just my take on it. I don't think they're trying to hide anything from this game. I don't think this game is going to be any catastrophe like WWE 2K20. I could be wrong on that. But, because 2K20 looked decent too before release, and they held kind of a lot of stuff from us. I just don't think that that's happening in this case. From what I have seen of gameplay, it seems to be pretty straightforward. You know, people had a very strong opinion about WWE 2K20, myself included. I did suck it up and I did play the game for a very long time, and I put out content on this channel. If you want to go back and check that out, you can. I'm not even excited about what I did back then or what I was doing for content. That's just the thing, and I think that's a lot of people's opinions. They weren't excited with the game. They weren't excited with playing the game. They weren't excited with putting out content like they used to be because of the game. And I don't know if all of what I experienced was necessarily 2K's fault for the game. I think it was, a lot of different things coming together at once. We all went through a pandemic. Denkop said this, said it pretty perfectly, with this game being primary content for my channel and his, and then the pandemic happening, it just I did take a hiatus. He didn't. He was able to come up with other content to put out for you guys. I did take a hiatus for 9 months, So, do I think that this game is going to be 2K20? I don't. I don't think it's going to be that way, and I tend to, give 2K the benefit of the doubt. I've been playing WWE games. I think the first one that I bought that was new at the time was SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. However, during that time, it was a thing to go back and play older games, so I played Here Comes the Pain. I played Just Bring It. I played Shut Your Mouth. I also played a lot of the regular original Xbox games, like I think Raw 3 might have been the name of one, WrestleMania 21. Don't quote me on all of these, but a lot of these games, I played a lot of them a lot at that time, and I've been playing them ever since. I've had the new game every year. You can see, my game up here for, I believe that's 2K18 Cena Enough Edition. There's Cena up there in the box set that he came in. Oh boy, I always get screwy with this angle. So, I have all of those games. I've had every game. That was the last physical one I think I bought, but the rest of them have been digital. So I've owned all these games. I've been playing all these games, and I tend to give 2K the benefit of the doubt, because even though a lot of the games had a lot of missing stuff that the fan base really wanted, I thought that the games were pretty solid for the most part. We didn't have any of the extreme issues like we had with 2K20. So like I said, I tend to give 2K a little bit of breathing room when it comes to giving them a little bit of benefit of the doubt with these games. 2K20, Ukes jumped out. Whether or not, they were fired, it's a debate of whether they were fired, let go, whether they just parted ways. No matter the fact, Ukes leaving and not being a part of 2K20 was a big hit on that game. It took a big shot to that game, and they had to throw a lot of stuff together last minute to get that game out to the fan base. And it didn't hit. It didn't hit different. It was a poor game from the beginning. Crashes. I got burnt out. This was a major reason why I took a hiatus, because I got burnt out by trying to collect this content, trying to put together content for you guys, and the game crashed. And I lost all of that recording. All of that stuff right in the middle. Like, I can't use the beginning of that recording because the match was right in the middle of a match and it crashes. So that was a big a bummer to me, trying to make content. And that put the nail in the coffin for me by the time I just got tired of it. So I do think that 2K making the decision to put this new game off, not having a 2K21, instead skipping it, going to 2K22. They even pushed back the date of release. It was originally supposed to be, I think, at the end or the beginning of the year, and they pushed it back to March now. We're within a couple of days, and they're not pushing it back again. I can almost guarantee that. But I think that those two calls were the right call, putting off not having a game in 21 and making a game for this year. I do think that they made a right move there. And I can see people being let down because some of the things are missing. Advanced entrances have been taken out. They said that was a big problem. I think they originally might have had it in and noticed that was a big problem to a lot of the crashes that 2K20 was having, and they didn't want that happening in the new game. I do think that you're going to see that this game is basically the product of hitting the big reset button for 2K. I do think that that's a thing. I think they're going to go forward with doing a MyGM mode ongoing for future games. I think the My Faction, as long as it stays as a hit and they don't dump it, I think that'll stay. Universe mode, I think they still have some stuff to add there, but I mean, with MyGM and My Faction, those are two big aspects that were added to this game that weren't there before, that they really have kind of beefed up this game with that. And I think that's a lot of what they've been working on, over this time period between 2K20 and this new game. I think they've been working on a lot of, fixing their issues, creating that new content to bring to you, even though some of it might not be perfect or 100% what you want. I do think that it's going to make a big difference in the game experience. A lot of people, had the complaint, myself included, of not having any mid-card championships with my GM. It looks like it's only going to be the main world title, whether it be the Universal Championship or whatever the main title is of the brand, and then the Women's Championship. Doesn't look like we're going to get mid-card championships. It's a bummer, yes, but I think it's also a framework for future success. I think it's something that we could see in future titles. I think it's something that they can build off of. Once again, I go back to, I think this is the product of hitting a reset button with 2K, getting 2K and Visual Concepts on board with making this game. This is a starting point for the rest of the series going forward. As long as this one hits and has good gameplay, it lacks some of the major issues that 2K20 has. I think that they can really bring a good game, a good solid game to the series, and then build off of that for future years to come. So despite me thinking that this game is looking like it's going to be a successful release for this year, I do see a couple of things that I'm a little bit skeptical of. And I think this is kind of common too for a lot of people out there that's played a lot of the games, in previous years. The combo system. The combo system, the last stuff that I see, they were going through different combos and everything, going through the whole move set. You can make custom combos, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost sure you can make custom combos. You just got to break them down in move set. So I'm a little bit skeptical on it. However, the last footage that I watched looked pretty decent. But I'm a little bit skeptical on it because the combo thing has never been my thing. And I don't think you have to do it. I think that it's one of those things that if you want to basically excel and, kind of take your gameplay to the next limit, you can study all of these combos for these superstars and get them down. Although I don't think that it's necessary or gives you any more oomph than the match. I think, just striking and everything, whether it be a combo or not, is going to make for the match to be a little bit, have a more even flow to it. But I think the combos have me a little bit worried. It's taking a change from what has been a very simulation-heavy based game to a level of what's been said like Tekken. I'm not a huge, Tekken player. This is why it's skeptical for me to look at this. Mortal Kombat-esque, some of these, you have to hit this button 3 times and that button once in order to do this big combo. So I'm a little bit skeptical on it. However, I will say this. For the gameplay that I have seen, it seems less of putting generic moves with every superstar, giving them their signature and finishers. And it seems more, when you're playing a superstar, it actually feels like that superstar. And I think some of that has to do with the combos. Joe, for example, Samoa Joe. I haven't actually watched his footage completely, but Joe and, I want to say, Sting have the same type of jab in real world that it seems like they're bringing to this game with Samoa Joe. He kind of does like a little back jab when he hits. For those of you that have really watched Samoa Joe for years, whether it's been in TNA or in WWE, Joe has a very distinct way of striking. In this game, I believe with the combos, kind of gives each character, it makes you feel like you're actually that person by just adding that little bit of flavor, that little bit of finesse to that character. It gives them their own personality rather than a bunch of generic moves and then just their signature and finisher. It gives them a little bit more of the feeling that you're playing as these actual superstars. I've seen that with some of these, the women's matches on Up, Up, Down, Down, the big matches with Brock Lesnar. You actually feel like that character. It actually, when you're playing, the strikes and the moves fit with that character. I'm not saying you're not going to see the same similar moves per person, but they've almost picked moves that really make you feel like you're playing as that person. You don't lose the character in between. So when the match starts, you don't lose the character in the middle of the match by just doing generic moves. You really feel like you're that character the entire match, not just when you hit their signature and finisher. I think that that's going to be a big difference in this one. Am I skeptical about the combos? Yes, but if it adds that to where it makes you feel like these characters are actually the characters, then I think that's going to be, it's going to balance itself out and it's going to be better. Another concern that I have is some of the times with the matches in 2K20 where I want things to go a specific way while trying to tell a story, I have 2 controller setups, so I'm playing as both characters. Am I going to be able to nitpick the moves that I do so I can tell the story that I want to? Or is it going to be just random moves thrown in? So that's another thing that from a content creator, maybe not somebody that's just playing, that's something that I look for in a game. I'm concerned that we're getting more towards the arcadey game style and less towards the simulation, when I think there could be a happy medium between the two. So that's another concern that I have with it. Universe mode, I can honestly say, while I would want more for universe mode, while I would like to see a draft, some kind of draft mechanic added to universe mode, the superstar specific universe mode thing that they added, I think that'll be great for a certain aspect. I don't know what My Rise is going to entail. It looks a lot like a classic career style mode, so maybe it will be something when you go through My Rise, you can then take your created superstar from a content perspective, put them in universe mode and play them specifically through universe mode too. I don't know how that's going to look, so I'm skeptical about that. From a universe mode perspective on this game, the superstar stuff that they've added where you can play as your own specific superstar is great, as long as they have weeded out the problems with the mass amount of crashes like WWE 2K20 had, and they've fixed some of those issues. I'm okay that they didn't add a lot of new stuff to universe mode, and I know that that's going to be a big talking point for a lot of people. You know, they didn't add enough new stuff. They did add a lot of new other modes. They did add My GM. They did add, My Rise. As long as those things are good, I can see why they didn't quite get to universe mode to add new stuff. I do think that they can build off a universe mode, and some of these things I'm not sure necessarily 2K when it comes to universe mode. It might be pushed from WWE not wanting certain things in universe mode. So as long as universe mode doesn't have the issues like it did in the last game, and I don't have to worry about being crashed every 3 seconds, so I can just get the content that I want. As long as create a video is the same, or maybe even better. We haven't really seen a lot of that, so I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that and get my hands on that as well. As long as those things stay moderately the same, it's not going to change things from a content perspective for me. Actually, it's going to make the game that much better because I had so many issues with it on 2K20. So, what is my universe mode going to look like? So that's the big question. If you're here, if you've made it this far, then I'm hoping that you're going to stick around to see the new content to come when WWE 2K22 actually releases. It might be a little bit before I get content going because I really got to get my hands in there. I got to see what we're working with, and I'm actually trying to brainstorm what I'm going to do as far as releasing a universe mode. I can't take off where I did for 2K20 because that stopped abruptly. Because like I said, I was burnt out with the game. And I did my own custom universe mode. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to stick with a Raw, a SmackDown, and NXT this time. So one thing that I put out on Twitter at American Pride Net, I believe. So yeah, my Twitter account, at AmericanPNet on Twitter, for American Pride Network. I put out a poll already. It's still up for about 5 days from the time of this video, so you guys should have a little bit more time to vote if you're watching this. But I put out a question as to whether or not anybody would like to see a brand split or one roster for one title, as in regards to Raw and SmackDown. NXT will be its separate thing. I'm hoping there's enough superstars. It looks like there is. So really, this is why it's going to take some time, because I really got to get my hands on the game. So that's kind of one of the questions I had. Should we do a brand split? Should we have a Universal and a WWE Championship on Raw and SmackDown? Or should we do, you know, a one title? Superstars can go between Raw and SmackDown. No brand split. I kind of lead towards more of the brand split. I do like the idea of having a Raw and SmackDown. I don't think that they're capitalizing on a brand split nowadays. It seems like they're kind of trying to go back into one roster with Raw and SmackDown. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that's for a whole different video. So I am leaning more towards the brand split, but I do have a thing on what do I do with championships. So this is a brand new universe mode. I'm not concerned with necessarily taking my time and naming champions, but how do I name all of these champions? I mean, you got, for NXT, you got, if we're doing it right, we got the NXT title. We got the North American Championship. We have the Cruiserweight Championship. We have the Tag Team Championships. Probably have the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. And there's one more. There's one more. Oh, Cruiserweight Championship, if I didn't already say that. And then for Raw and SmackDown, you have Raw WWE Championship, the United States Championship. You have Women's Tag Team Championships, you have the Raw Tag Team Championships, and you have a Women's Raw Tag Team Championship. Same thing with SmackDown. You have the Intercontinental title, Universal title, SmackDown Tag Team titles, and a Women's SmackDown title. So it's a lot of titles there to name. So I'm going to have to, if we're doing a brand split, I'm going to have to get creative with how we name these champions. Maybe some of the championships get left out. Here's the thing. And here's one thing that I'm kind of leaning more towards. As far as the Women's Tag Team Championships go, I do like the idea of the Women's Tag Team Championships. I don't know if I like the idea of having Women's Tag Team Championships on NXT and on Raw and SmackDown. I think maybe we could do, okay, women's tag teams could go between all brands, and we have one Women's Tag Team Championship that could be on any brand at any time. Be defended on any brand anytime. I don't know if we're going to do it 24/7. That kind of sounded like we were doing 24/7, but anyway, just to make the women's title, the women tags titles universal across all three brands instead of having an NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. I just think it's too much to a certain extent. And I'm even thinking on not doing a Cruiserweight Championship for NXT. I don't like saying that because I like the looks of the title. The title looks awesome. But it is a lot of titles for NXT too, especially if there's not enough people for the brand. Like I said, I really got to get my hands onto the game. I am going to be using superstars that were released because I'm taking advantage of that. Even though they were released, I'm glad that they are in the game. Keith Lee, I'm glad that he's in the game. Tyler Breeze, glad that he's in the game. I'm glad that a lot of these, Tegan Knox is another one. Big names, Karrion Kross. We want to use all of these. Unfortunately, this is kind of a spoiler because unless they come back into the company to be on the next game, I'm going to try to aim towards, if anyone holds any championships, they're going to have to be in somebody else's hands by the end of the series. I really hate to do that, but I don't like using created Trons and stuff, and that might not even be a thing in this game because they took out advanced entrances. But I really want to get away from that because it doesn't look good presentation-wise. And this game looks visually really, really good. So I want to keep some of that presentation in there. Jeff Hardy was another one that was released. I'm really looking forward to using some of these guys in the game. Whether they're a major point of the game, they might be. I'm going to have to try to write that in at the beginning. You know, if they do another game next year, we do have a limited time. So I do like the fact that we have some of these guys. I don't know what next year's game is going to look like. That's a whole different video, and a lot can happen in that time period. You know, Cody Rhodes left AEW, could potentially be coming back to WWE. I tend to not believe all those, you know, different things thrown out there until they actually come to fruition. So if he comes back to the company and he's in next year's game, that'll be awesome too. So I do believe that we're going to have a good solid game this year. I hope that that stands the test of time, and I hope that that comes to fruition. I'm really looking forward to the game. It's been a long time since I've been excited about doing content here, but I am so excited, and I'm so excited to be making new content, and I'm so excited for this game, and I hope you guys are too. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Leave a like, hit the subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the newest content coming. And like I said, I want to do a lengthy review sometime after the game is released to see kind of how it matches up to what I'm saying right now. So hopefully you guys are getting all this content, digesting it as much as I am, and I hope you guys are all excited for this game like I am, and we will see you guys next time right here on APN Gaming.